Thank you for joining us today. My name is Christine Torres. I am the Director for Academic Success Initiatives for the Pioneer Center for Student Excellence on the Houston campus. Our presentation today is Academic Crossroads, Figuring Out Your Next Move. My co-presenter today is Ms. Williana Cole, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hey there. Thank you so much, Christine. My name is Williana Cole, and I'm the Assistant Director for Academic Recovery and Resilience. I'm here on the Denton campus, and I'm part of the University Academic Advising team. I have the pleasure and privilege of working with our undergraduate students who are on academic probation and suspension. So I'm glad to be here.
Thank you, Liliana. We also have Ms. Destiny Tolbert. She is our Director for Academic Success Initiatives on our Dallas campus. Thank you for joining us, Destiny. We're going to go ahead and get started. These are the things we're going to be covering today. We're going to be talking about understanding what crossroads are, how to reflect, assess, and explore options. We're going to look at what those options are, whether that's staying in a class, dropping, or withdrawing, and then talk about some next steps. So let's get started. Getting back on track. Maybe there's been a couple of things that have impacted you this semester. There are things that we can't predict and some things that we can. Likewise, there's things that we can control and things that we can't. This activity that we're going to start off with is basically an opportunity for you to reflect on some of those things that impacted you this semester, to give you that understanding of what really happened. And we just ask that you be kind, that you be honest, and that you be truthful to yourself. We're not going to ask you to share any of this. If you feel free, if you would like to, but we wanted to get the conversation rolling about what reflections are. So reflections are an opportunity for you to stop, take a moment to think about a certain situation, a certain outcome, or potential outcomes. And that's what we're doing today. So it's not about blame, it's about understanding. And this is how we're going to go through this process today. It's about understanding. So, understanding what crossroads are, here are some common experiences that us as professionals have seen working in higher education, as far as some reasons that students tend to fall behind or end up catching up because of some things that have impacted them. And there's just a list. I want you to look through this list. Please feel free to write anything that might not be on this list or something that's on this list that stands out to you the most. Maybe you're a student who struggled after a difficult first exam. Maybe you fell behind in one or more of your courses. Could also be the fact that you didn't attend class for whatever reason that happened, whether they were too early, transportation, also not logging into Canvas, especially for those students who have online courses or hybrid courses or courses that are predominantly navigated with Canvas. And this could be just for different reasons. Maybe you just were uncertain about the major, your career path, the program you were thinking about coming in. Then you start to think about, well, is this really for me? Is this program for me? Is college really for me? And you start doing a lot of this self-reflection that happens, and it's normal. This is what we want you to know, that these are normal things that happen in your academic career, or that can happen. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed by balancing school, work, personal commitments. Then you start feeling stressed, burnt out. Then there's no motivation or lack of it. We're feeling isolated and unsupported. Maybe you feel like you're the only one struggling. You're the only one who didn't get what the lecture was about, the only one who'd missed an assignment, who forgot a due date. Maybe this is your second semester taking another course. Maybe you're in a recovery program. Maybe you failed a course. You're thinking about dropping, changing majors, and then again, personal challenges. We all have families, our health, our mental health, and this also impacts our academics. So think about these things. And I want you just to think about, what challenges did you personally experience? Now, you might need to take a screenshot, and this might be all of the things you experienced, but we're here to help you navigate what's going to happen next. So let's talk about that. This is the reflection part. We've kind of had some reasons about, what could have happened. What I want you to do is I want you to think about those reasons, and I want you to write down at least one in the academic area and one in the personal area. Whatever that was, please feel free to write that down on a sheet of paper. If anybody wants to use the chat, definitely use the chat so that you can communicate with others so that we know that you're not alone. And we can continue this conversation. So write those down. What is one thing that you want to focus on that impacted your semester? Things that you could have controlled, things that you didn't have the ability to control. Next, I want you to look at what contributed to these challenges. Ask yourself these questions. What did I learn about myself? Maybe you've learned that taking a weekend course is not for you. Taking an online course is not for you. Taking an 8 a.m. course is not for you. This is the point of reflection. So now we know that we need to work on our schedule for next semester so that we're not taking 8 a.m. classes. Maybe transportation was your issue and you had to rely on somebody taking you to campus 4 days a week. Well, maybe you schedule your classes 2 days a week and looking at other options or platforms for taking your classes. So, what did you learn about yourself? And then, what were some factors that were in your control? And then, what were some factors that were outside of your control? Maybe you lost a job. Maybe you had to take on an extra job, take on extra hours. Maybe there were people in your family that were sick. All of these are normal things that happen, but they can also impact your schoolwork. So let's look at that. Next, what I want you to do is now that you've identified what that academic and what that personal reason for you falling behind were, I want you to go in and create a SMART goal. And I'm going to show you how to do that. A SMART goal is a goal that is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. So let's look at this step by step. Specific is you have a clear goal. You can't just say, I want to make good grades. It has to be specific. It has to be measurable. So this is so that we can measure our success. This gives us a target to get to. Is it achievable? Is it something that you know that's realistic, that you can achieve, and that's going to make sense for you with the resources that you have? Is it relevant? Can you set goals relevant to what you are trying to achieve? So if you're trying to, let's say, for instance, work on attending class more frequently, maybe you haven't been attending class, but your goal is to log into Canvas more. That doesn't really impact the actual act of going to class. It impacts staying informed with class. So that's what relevant means. And then time-based, you give yourself a deadline and you hold yourself accountable. The more times that you say, well, I'll do it by the end of the week, you're going to find yourself procrastinating and waiting till midnight at Sunday. So give yourself a firm deadline and hold yourself accountable for that firm deadline. So let's look at that. Let's look at an example. Let's say, for instance, your goal is to pass your AP lecture class with a 75. We are being specific because we're saying what class and we're saying what grade. So this is how you would break this down. I would improve my grade by focusing on better study habits. So you've already identified that the study habits might have been that thing that was keeping you. So how are we going to measure this? We're going to make sure, maybe right now you're making a 70 in this class. So if I can increase my grade by 5 points, that will get me to passing. And that's what I need for my overall GPA. Is it achievable? Can I dedicate 2 hours per day to my AP lecture? Can I attend all remaining lectures, read my material before class, and attend tutorings? So these are commitments, these are personal commitments that I've identified that will help me with making these 5 extra points. And if you do all of this consistently, you're probably going to get more than those 5 points, right? But our goal is simple. We're going to start off by measuring, can we at least get those 5 points? Is it relevance? Let's check. I'm going to improving my grade will help me maintain my scholarship. Maybe you have a scholarship requirement and you need to make at least that 75. So this is how it's going to impact you. Time-based by the end of the fall semester. So we're not saying, by a year, by my whole program, my average for my graduation, it is this fall semester. So I'm going to go back to this screen, and this would be a great screen for you to take a screenshot of. You're also going to get a copy of the presentation so you'll see that. But if you want to go ahead and get started on creating a SMART goal, this is the template that you would use. So you would create this SMART goal, and then this would be the goal for you to maintain for these next, we're in week 11. So for these next remaining weeks until the end of the semester. So let's move on. Any questions about SMART goals? Again, feel free to take your mic off, drop a question in the chat, and we'll be happy to get to those questions. All right. So now we're to the point to where when passing isn't possible and exploring our next options. What are the next steps? Sometimes, even after reflecting and setting strong goals, you might realize that passing a class might not just be possible, right? That it's not mathematically possible for you to pass. That can be a really tough realization, and you're not alone. But it doesn't mean that you have failed. It just means that you have to take a different approach these next few weeks. And there's a couple of things that you need to consider, and that's what we're here for, to give you what those resources are. So to help you understand your options, whether it's withdrawing, dropping a course, retaking a course in another semester, I'm going to hand things over to Miss Williana Cole, and she's going to walk you through what those next steps would look like.
Yay, absolutely. Okay. Um, am I doing I'm so sorry, you guys, I'm terrible at this. Can I
You're,
click the little thing and make
you
it go?
should let me know if you can. If not, I'll click.
I'm so sorry. It's not letting me click, but it could be user error. Yeah. Oh Lord, am I doing it?
I'm your clicker. I'll
Oh,
click for
thank you.
you.
I was like, what? Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, y'all, I'm real bad at this. That's why I'm going second because I'm the B team. Okay. So sometimes we don't know where we stand in a class. You might not know that you're not passing, okay? And let's talk about why that is. There are some signs that if you pay attention in your heart and in your mind, there are some signs that you might not pass your class at the end of the semester, okay? Walk with me on this journey. If you have a low class average, based on the grade scale on your syllabus, not vibes, okay? Not how you feel in your heart, not how you feel in your mind. If based on math, you have a low grade right now that is maybe an F or a D, then it's possible that you might not pass this class at the end of the semester, right? If you have multiple absences for whatever reason, if you've been sick, if you've been working, if you had car or transportation issues and you just couldn't get there, multiple absences, if you stopped logging into Canvas for your online class, then it's totally possible that you might fail a class this semester, okay? If you are missing some assignments, if you're missing a lot of assignments, if you've missed taking exams or submitting major papers, major projects, it's possible that you might fail, okay? If you feel like you are running out of time, if you know your if in your class you only had 4 exams and that was the only thing that makes up your grade, if you have failed 3 of those exams and you only have one left, you are running out of time, sweetheart. And it is completely possible that you may not pass the class at the end of the semester if you've run out of enough assignments for you to earn the points to make at least a C in the class. Okay. Next slide, please. So let's talk about vibes. Okay. I'm old. You see all my gray hair in the camera. I don't know if y'all use the word vibes anymore. Feel free to put in the chat whatever new fancy Gen Z, Gen Alpha word you guys are using, okay? But if you are going off of vibes to determine your academic journey, then that's like driving with your car on E and you don't know where the next gas station is. Vibes is uncertainty. So when I meet with students, I ask them like, how is this semester going? How are your classes? How are you feeling about your grades? And if I hear any of these answers, that immediately makes me concerned. So if someone says, I'm okay, I'm doing okay. Okay, well, what is okay? If somebody says, oh, I think I'll pass. Oh, I feel like I'll pass. I've been working really hard. I've been studying really hard. I think I'm fine. I've been turning in my work, and so it's fine. I don't really know what my grade is, but I think I'm okay. I looked at my grade, but I'm waiting on my teacher to input grades. Right now I'm failing, but as soon as they input grades, I'll be passing. Or, well, I failed XYZ. Or like, oh, I failed the first two exams, but if I can make an A on this next test, if I can make an A on this paper, on this project, on this final, then I'll be okay. That to me is vibes. Okay. If you are saying those things in your heart right now, you're like, oh, I'm listening to this old lady, but I'm fine. No, you're not. Hey, those are vibes, and vibes is uncertainty. And next slide, please. Um, you need a vibe check. Okay. Again, um, I don't know if y'all are using the word vibe, but whatever word you're using, you need to stop and you need to go, oh, I need to talk to the person who actually knows what my grade is and who actually made the syllabus and who actually knows what the grade scale is. I need to go talk to the person who can tell me whether or not I'm passing or failing, right? You need to go talk to your teacher. Um, if you don't want to go talk to them, the introvert in me sees the introvert in you. So send them an email. If you want to take a little screenshot, use my little template. Dear professor, my name is Williana and I am in your English 1013 class. I am concerned about my grade. I'm reaching out for help. Currently my grade is, or maybe you don't know your grade. I don't know what my grade is. I think I'm failing. I don't know. With the assignments we have left in the semester, is it possible for me to earn enough points to pass this class with at least a C, right? A C is passing. That's what we're aiming for, right? Next slide, please. So after you have had your vibe check, okay, you've talked to your instructor, you've sent them an email, and either your instructor is going to tell you, hey, as long as you come to class, do your work, if you do well on this next test, if you do well on this next exam, then yeah, you can totally pass. Or they'll tell you, hey, friend, right now, you got a two in the class and there is just nothing you can do. Like, even if you did every assignment from here until kingdom come and you did every extra credit, there is no way for you to pass the class, right? All we're doing is gathering information. Can we pass? Can we not pass? Once you have that, you have some decisions to make. Do you stay in the class because you're going to have to repeat the class again next time? So you want to get all the information you can. Do you try? Do you do the work? Like, you have some decisions to make. Do you stay in the class or do you drop the class? Would dropping that class free up your time, your energy, your mental health to work on your other classes and do well in those classes? How many classes have you dropped already? If you are a sophomore, a junior, a senior, even if you're a freshman, you only get 6 unexcused drops your entire college career in the state of Texas. So if you're a freshman and you drop a class now, that leaves you 5 drops for the next however many years, right? If you're a senior and you are about to graduate, like, how does dropping that class impact your graduation timeline? Have you talked with your academic advisor? You're about to drop a class, but you use grants, loans, or scholarships, you have financial aid. Dropping a class can sometimes impact your financial aid this semester and next semester. So have you talked with the financial aid office before you drop? Has life been lifing and you about to fail all your classes and you need to drop everything? Like, that's a specific activity that's called withdrawing. So like, have things been going on and you're just, every grade is an F and you're at the point where, oh my goodness, I need to think about withdrawing. These are things that you want to talk with your advisor about. You want to talk with your stakeholders, your parents, yourself. Like, sit down with yourself and think about, what is this? Um, oh, sorry, there's a little chat thingy. Oh, let's see. Oh, so, okay, baby, you don't have to be scared about dropping a class. Let's talk about it. So reach out to your academic advisor. Well, we're gonna hold on. We're gonna go to the next slide, okay? And then this will address it. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. So you've got some things to do. So maybe you're like our friend in the chat here, and you're afraid to drop a class. And so maybe you need to go through this decision making process. Like, maybe you really need to sit down and with a piece of paper on a whiteboard and go down the list. Like, can I pass this class? Do I have enough time? We got 5 weeks. Okay. Wait, do we 12, 13, 14, 15? And then final exam. So we have 4 weeks of class in the week of finals. Can I get my poop in a group, in the next 4 weeks to get my grade from a 2 to a 72? Yes, if you have the time, energy, mental capacity, you ready to buckle down and drink your monster energy drinks and your rock stars and you ready to get this done, then yeah, stay in the class. You need to maybe set a smart goal. Okay, my goal is to dedicate 2 hours every day to anatomy and physiology. My goal is to go to Slurk every day for 2 hours. My goal is to watch Khan Academy every day for set some goals for now until the end of the semester. We think that SMART goals are this big lofty, like, oh, make A's, graduate with a doctorate. No, sometimes your SMART goal is wake up 2 hours early to go to the library, to go to the writing center, to go to Slurp, to go to the math lab. Get you some goals going for the next 5 weeks so that you can structure yourself. Okay. If you decide that you want to stay in that class, you got some things to write down and really get settled. Okay. So let's say you're doing this thinking and you're just like, oh, there's just no way. I got a 3 in microbiology, and there's just no way that with we got 2 tests left and I've failed the last 45 tests, and there's no way that even if I made A's on those last 2 tests that my microbiology grade would be higher. So then let's think about dropping or withdrawing. Really sit down with yourself and really make those decisions, okay? And oh, sorry, no.
For those of you who are at that crossroad right now where it's like, okay, well, do I drop? You've gone through the decision making, or do I stay in the class? Like, is it feasible? Is it mathematically possible for me to stay? You might consider doing a pros and cons list. Okay. So this is another one that you could take a picture of the screenshot. Again, you'll have access to the presentation, but it doesn't need to be formal. You need to write the course. Why are you dropping it? Okay. Or why are we withdrawing? And then we need to write the reasons why we're dropping. What are the pros? Well, if I drop this course, I can pick up more hours at work. Maybe you need to work more. I can focus more on passing maybe a prerequisite that you need for next semester. So maybe one course is a prerequisite for the class you need to take next semester, and you need to really focus on that one. And you can, your schedule is feasible for you to drop that one course. Some other pros, drop your pros in in the chats. So that we can see what some pros are. What are some of you thinking of pros and cons? Like just write pro and then write what a pro would be about staying in a class, or a con. Write your con, what it would be staying in a class. Let's see some chat movement.
Uh, Maybe your pro is, you're about to graduate. And if you can just make a C in actually, okay, guys, listen. I was about to look, I went to TW 400,000 years ago because I'm old, okay? And in order to graduate, I graduated with a degree in English, amen, walked across the stage. I needed 4 foreign language classes. I took Spanish 3 semesters, and then I took sign language. That last semester of Spanish, they wanted me to write papers in Spanish, okay? I don't know how to do that, baby. Um, and so I needed at least, y'all, I needed a D. I needed a D to walk across the stage. And I went to my teacher and I said, please, you never have to see me again. If you would just please in your heart find it to give me some extra credit so I can get a D in this class. So you never have to see me again. That is a pro. I'm trying to graduate. Please write it
Yes.
down. If you're a senior,
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and for those of you who are thinking like I'm scared of a drop, I have drops on my transcripts. But look at the wall. Like you could see my degrees, but there are no drops on that, right? Now, if you apply for a job, they might ask for your transcript, but hopefully everything else you've talked about, everything you've done, everything you have to show for and speak for at your interviews, they're going to make up for it. So it's not a life impacting decision. Yes, it might slow down graduation. You might not be able to go into a program as soon as you thought, but the mental peace the mental stability that you get within that semester, because maybe you are financially needing to contribute your time other ways, or other obligations that may be superseding your academics. We have to take care of ourselves, okay? And like Williana said, like life happens. We're lifing, right? We're trying to get through our academic careers, but we're also have to be aware of the things that are going on around us. So create your pros and cons list so that you have the tools you need to make that decision. What happens is we will internalize this, and then our internal voice takes over. Well, if I drop, then I'll never graduate and I'll never be a doctor, and then I will never have this, and we spiral out of control. So then, if we write it down, and you might have more than five, I just wrote five, right? Just so that we have something to go for to start with. But just write your pros and your cons, and then sit on that and think about it. So then, when you do meet with your program advisor, you can say, I think it's in my best interest to stay in the course. I've already met with my instructor, and or hey, it's just going to be best for me to drop at the moment, okay? And then make that decision, but you have a different approach, right? This is a strategic approach versus I give up, I'm not going to try, I'm just going to drop everything. Or just not attending class, right? Well, I'm going to fail. I don't know what I'm getting anyway, and I'm going to fail. No. Liliana has posted that drop deadline because we want you to know that there is a deadline so that this grade doesn't stay on your transcript, okay? So let's look at the
Absolutely.
next slide.
So if you've made your goals, if you've sat down and you've thought about, you've gone through that decision-making process, you've written your pros and cons list, and your pros for dropping, they outweigh your cons, you've talked with financial aid, it's okay, you know, then let's get it done. If you want to, so I apologize because I crammed a bunch of words onto the next couple slides. So just get ready. But if you have reached the conclusion that you need to drop a class, the deadline is 5 p.m. this Friday, November 7th. This Friday. This whole time I've been thinking it was next week, but no, this Friday is the 7th. I don't know where November is going, but dropping a class means that you were dropping one or more classes, but you're still enrolled in at least one class for fall 2025. If you take a screenshot of this, if you follow that QR code, it leads you to the registrar's website to drop the class. Oh, yay. Thank you, Christine. Put it in the chat. Ow. But if you follow the little screenshot, you'll go to that website, you'll click dropping courses after late registration, and then there's a little link that says initiate course drops online. Okay. If you are enrolled in a science lecture and lab, so if you're taking anatomy and physiology, if you're taking chemistry, biology, microbiology, if you're enrolled in a lecture and a lab and you want to just drop the lecture or drop the lab, you won't be able to do that using the online form. You'll need to talk with your academic advisor for those steps because there's a paper form that you fill out and you got to get the departmental signature and all that good stuff. But if you're just dropping one class, if you're dropping both a lecture and a lab, then you can do it using the online form from now until Friday at 5. Okay. But my little stop sign down here at the bottom. So I'm sorry it's so tiny if you can't see it, but please, 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 for the love of biscuits, talk to the financial aid office before you drop because it could impact your current aid. So the aid you're getting for this semester, it could impact that. And it could impact your aid for spring and for like subsequent semesters. You could end up owing money back. I do not want you to be surprised, if you drop a class and you don't talk to the financial aid office first, okay? Please, please, please. And then if we could go to the next slide, I want to talk with you about withdrawing. So dropping is dropping one or more classes, but you're still enrolled in at least one class. Withdrawing is for if life has been lifing too hard and you are just failing everything down and out, like, you know, you can withdraw from every class. The deadline is the same. It's Friday, November 7th. Withdrawing from all of your classes is not the same as as leaving the university. You were just withdrawing from your classes and you have the ability to register for your next semester classes. So withdrawing does not mean that you were saying goodbye to TWU forever. However, if you are living on campus, withdrawing does mean that you cannot live on campus. If you withdraw from all of your classes, you are technically not a student. Therefore, you cannot live in student housing, okay? And I feel like I'm harping on that, but every semester we have some folks who withdraw, but then feel like they can still live here. And that is not the case. Okay. So if you are, struggling with housing insecurity, if there's anything going on where you need housing and being at school is a part of that, you really want to think about that before you withdraw from all of your classes. Okay. Please talk with your academic advisor if that is the case. And then before you withdraw, please, again, for the love of biscuits and gravy, please talk to the financial aid office because I don't want you to be surprised. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about some bumps in the road. Everybody makes low grades. I just told you that I begged my Spanish teacher 100,000 years ago for that grade of D so that I could walk on across the stage. But as you're in your classes, if you have an F in your class right now, if you have D's, if you're anticipating, potentially failing some classes or having some low grades at the end of the semester, let's talk about what some of those consequences are. Um, it could mean retaking classes, which could mean more time that you spend in school and more money that you spend paying for housing if you live on campus, repaying, paying again for classes that you're retaking, which could also cause delayed graduation or program admission. So if you have it in your heart that you are going to be class of 2027, but you had to drop a class or you had to withdraw from classes and you got to do those classes over again, that can push your graduation back. Or if you're one of those, if you're a pre-nursing student, education, psychology, social work, those second admit programs, where you have to reach a certain level and apply and then move on, that could delay you applying to the nursing program. It could delay you applying to the social work program if you are making low grades and failing and repeating classes. It might also cause some financial aid issues. You have to maintain a 2.0 GPA in order to be eligible to continue receiving financial aid. So if you are making Fs, if you are making Ds, like if you make Ds from now until forever, that is a 1.0 GPA. And that is below the requirement that you need for financial aid. You could have your financial aid suspended to where you don't get any aid anymore. Sometimes low grades and failing grades cause that. They can also cause academic probation or academic suspension. And we're going to talk more about what that is on the next slide, okay? So I want to kind of highlight this, one, because that's the student population that I work with. And I want you to see this face, okay? So if you end up with a low GPA at the end of the semester, so if your cumulative GPA is below 2.0 at the end of this semester, you will be placed on academic probation for the spring. You will be seeing this face again, okay? During your academic probation semester, if you end up on probation, you end up part of the Pioneers Achieving Student Success or the PASS program. And those students have extra support from the PASS advising team, access to student workshops, and they're part of a special online community. I am part of that advising team. And our whole goal for your academic probation semester is to help you graduate from probation. We will text you and try and motivate you and help you with time management and point you to resources like Christine so you can do some academic coaching. We will get you plugged in. You don't have enough food to eat, we got you. You don't have a safe place to stay, we are on you so that you have the extra support you need to graduate from probation and go back into good academic standing. Because if after your probation semester, if your GPA is not at least a 2.0, you go from probation to suspension. So suspension means that you are not allowed to enroll in classes or live on campus for a specific period of time for your suspension time. So let's talk about what that timeline is like. Maybe you're having some trouble this fall semester. You're working as hard as you can, but darn, we end the semester, your GPA is below 2.0, right? You end up on probation, you get that good old probation notification email from registrar. Right after that, you get a notification from me, remember this face, hey y'all, welcome to the PASS program. And then all spring long, I'm on you. Hey, what you doing? You going to class? Oh, you got enough food to eat? Where you live? You okay? All semester long, and you will be fabulous and you will rise and you'll bring your GPA back up. So I just think I want you to see that even if there are bumps in the road, there are people here to help you navigate, and there is a way back to good academic standing, even if you're making some rough grades right now, okay? Yeah, next slide. Oh no, did I do it wrong? Let's see. I might have put it twice. Oh, let me hush. Questions?
Yes, that was sorry. I was going the wrong way, but this brings us to the end of our presentation. But right before we end, I do want to take you to our TWU homepage, and I want to show you a couple of resources. If you go into the search engine and you type in Pioneer Center for Student Excellence, this will lead you to, I'm sorry, if you type in academic coaching, it'll take you to our academic coaching website. Like Liliana said, for those students who do get placed on probation, you'll get an automatic notification. But if you're not at that point yet and you want to get some additional support, you can click into academic coaching and you can click an appointment. You can get coaching. But I also want to take you to our tab where it says academic excellence workshops. Today's workshop is going to be recorded. It is recorded and it's going to be posted on our YouTube channel. But this will get you to our workshops where you register for today's session, but you'll also get to our YouTube channel. So if you're struggling with time management, reading, if you need some additional support like that, just click on our playlist. And then under academic success workshops, you will be able to see our recorded workshops, and they're all listed here to the right-hand side. So that is one resource for you to use for those students who are needing some additional support. But what we're going to do now is just open the floor for any questions. If you have any questions, both Liliana and I are here to help you. We also have a survey that we're going to be dropping in the chat. So if you do have some time and if you can take care of that for us, we'd appreciate it. And I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recording so that those of you who feel like you want to ask questions without being recorded,